You can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
It's the biggest party of the summer tonight. SummerSlam 2022 airs live from Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern 5 p.m. Pacific. WWE fanboy Alex Cardinale breaks down this year's match card and makes some awesome predictions for SummerSlam. It's one of my favorite events of the year. Welcome to the SummerSlam 2022 pre-show. Post your predictions and the matches you are looking forward to in the comments. Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar meet in a last man standing match for the last time ever for WWE Undisputed Universal Championship in the main event. The Usos defend the Undisputed Tag Team Championships against the Street Profits with Jeff Jarrett as special guest referee. Bianca Belair defends her Raw Women's Championship against Becky Lynch. Pat McAfee faces Happy Corbin. All that and more. WWE SummerSlam airs 8 p.m. Eastern 5 p.m. Pacific on Peacock in the United States and WWE Network elsewhere. Join WWE fanboy Alex Cardinale now to preview and predict WWE SummerSlam just hours before it airs. Here is Alex Cardinale. The SummerSlam pre-show is now underway.
And now, WWE SummerSlam.
Hello everyone, welcome to the WWE SummerSlam 2022 pre-show here on Pro Wrestling 101 on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. I'm your host, WWE fanboy Alex Cardinale, and to say that I'm really excited about SummerSlam would be an understatement. SummerSlam is one of my favorite premium events of the year. It's a top 5 WWE premium event, and this year's, without a doubt, is going to be very historic and very good in my opinion. This year's SummerSlam will be the very first SummerSlam under new ownership, as Stephanie McMahon and Triple H are taking over for Vince McMahon. Also, Nick Khan is as well. So this will be the very first SummerSlam without Vince McMahon in charge. So I want to see how this SummerSlam goes. I think Triple H and Stephanie are going to have some great surprises in store for us. Also, this year's SummerSlam is the very first one not to take place in August. That's a little bit unique. This year's SummerSlam is taking place in July, and the end of July is taking place today, which is July 30th, which is a shocker. There's no pay-per-view in August, but that's pretty cool. But anyway, SummerSlam airs live in just hours at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Peacock in the United States of America and the WWE Network elsewhere outside of America. So today I am going to preview WWE SummerSlam 2022. I'm going to go over the match card. I'm going to give my predictions. I'm going to talk about if I think there's going to be any surprises, all that and more on this fun premium event pre-show. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to share my thoughts on Vince McMahon retiring. So let's get this fun show started. SummerSlam 2022 airs tonight from the Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's going to be a great show. The main event for this year's SummerSlam is for the Undisputed Universal Championship, a last man standing match between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. It will be the last time that Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns battle, and it's a last man standing match for the Undisputed Universal Championship. Another big match for this year's SummerSlam is for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships, where the Usos defend their tag team titles against the Street Profits, with Jeff Jarrett as a special guest referee. And we've got a match for Pat McAfee, who will be taking on Happy Corbin. I'm a big fan of Pat McAfee's work. He did great at WrestleMania, and I can't wait to see what he has in store for Happy Corbin at SummerSlam. And this year at SummerSlam, Logan Paul will make his singles in-ring debut. He had a match as a tag team competitor at WrestleMania, but at SummerSlam this year, he is going to have a one-on-one match against a man that delivered a skull-crushing finale on him at WrestleMania, The Miz. So those are just some of the matches that we can look forward to at this year's SummerSlam in just a couple of hours. So WWE fans, you could be a part of the pre-show. Don't feel left out. In the comments, tell me your predictions for SummerSlam 2022. So in the comments, write your predictions. What are your predictions for SummerSlam 2022? Also, what do you want to happen at SummerSlam 2022? Let me know in the comments. So with that being said, let's start the show. And we're going to start the show by going over the SummerSlam 2022 match card. This year, there are 8 matches on the SummerSlam match card, and a lot of them are good matches. Up first, we've got a tag team championship match for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. The Usos defend their tag team championships against the Street Profits. This time, there is a special guest referee. Jeff Jarrett will be calling the action to make sure that there is a decisive winner. After a controversial call at Money in the Bank, SummerSlam needs a special guest referee, and Jeff Jarrett will be calling it down the middle for the Undisputed Tag titles tonight at SummerSlam. Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair defends her Raw Women's title against Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch made a surprising return at SummerSlam 2021 last year. Now, a full year later, Becky Lynch is challenging Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship at SummerSlam. Will history repeat itself? Will Becky Lynch defeat Bianca Belair for a championship again? This time it would be for the Raw Women's title. Or will Bianca Belair defeat Becky Lynch again to retain the Raw Women's Championship? Remember, Bianca Belair beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania in Dallas. Can she do it again in Nashville tonight at SummerSlam? Then we've got a no disqualification tag team match pitting the Mysterios against Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day. This match was made official on Monday Night Raw this week. We've got The Miz taking on Logan Paul in a highly anticipated singles match and the singles debut for Logan Paul. Bobby Lashley defends his United States Championship against Austin Theory, Mr. Money in the Bank. Remember, at Money in the Bank, Bobby Lashley defeated Austin Theory, but Austin Theory would go on to win the Money in the Bank ladder match after he was added to the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. For the SmackDown Women's Championship, new SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan defends against the former SmackDown Women's Champion Ronda Rousey. Remember, at Money in the Bank, Liv Morgan cashed in on Ronda Rousey. Now it's a fair one-on-one match. Will Ronda Rousey be able to regain the SmackDown Women's Championship, or will Liv Morgan prove she's more than just a Money in the Bank cash-in and lucky girl? Pat McAfee goes one-on-one with Happy Corbin. The two former NFL players will battle inside a WWE ring, and this is going to be a great match, I think. And our main event tonight, this year's SummerSlam main event, a last man standing match for the Undisputed Universal Championship. Universal Champion Roman Reigns defends the WWE Championship and the Universal Championship against Brock Lesnar in a last man standing match. That match is sure to be a great match, and there's always the possibility that Austin Theory cashes in his Money in the Bank, and we could leave SummerSlam with a new champion and possibly the youngest undisputed Universal Champion in WWE history should Austin Theory cash in his Money in the Bank contract tonight at SummerSlam. That would be very shocking, and a lot of people would not like that, but sometimes change is a good thing, and I think now is the time to have a new champion, especially considering Roman Reigns' schedule as of late. He's got a part-time schedule, and he's only working a few events, so we definitely need a champion who's going to be on TV weekly, but that is just my personal opinion. So that is the SummerSlam 2022 match card. We've got the Usos versus the Street Profits for the tag titles, Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship, the Judgment Day versus the Mysterios, no DQ tag team match. We've got Logan Paul versus The Miz, Bobby Lashley versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship. We've got Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's title, Pat McAfee versus Happy Corbin, and we've got Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in the main event. Now, earlier this week, a match was called off for SummerSlam, and that match was Riddle versus Seth Rollins. That match is postponed because Riddle suffered an injury in Madison Square Garden on Raw at the conclusion of Monday Night Raw, but there could be a surprise in store for Seth Rollins tonight at SummerSlam. We'll talk about that in a little bit here on the SummerSlam 2022 pre-show. All right, so now that I went over the SummerSlam match card, I am going to be a fantasy booker here. I am going to tell you how I would present SummerSlam 2022. I'm going to go over the match card or the match order for SummerSlam 2022. Here is how I would book SummerSlam 2022 and the order of the matches, because it's important that we have a good opener and then, of course, the main event. But we should always make sure we have some interesting stories to start the pay-per-view and then the personal rivalry to finish the pay-per-view. So here is how I would have the match order go for SummerSlam 2022. So the match opener, the first match of SummerSlam, should be a battle between the Mysterios and the Judgment Day. I think that's a great way to start SummerSlam 2022. The next match would be Ronda Rousey and Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And then I would do Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory for the United States Championship. And then I would do Pat McAfee and Happy Corbin. And then I would do the Street Profits and the Usos for the Tag Team Championships. And then I would do Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's Championship. And then I would do Logan Paul versus The Miz. And then the main event, I would do Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns in a last man standing match. And obviously, I feel that Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns definitely should main event SummerSlam. And I think that they will main event SummerSlam. So that's my particular match order. That would be how I would book SummerSlam. But I'll enjoy SummerSlam no matter how they present the match order. But that's just my personal opinion on how they should book the match order. What is your personal opinion on how they should book the match order? Let me know in the comments below. All right. So now let's talk about surprises, because we had the surprise at Royal Rumble this year. Ronda Rousey returned at the Royal Rumble. We had a surprise at WrestleMania with the return of Cody Rhodes. So usually with the top 5 premium live events, WWE likes to have surprises. So are there any surprises that I'm expecting this year at SummerSlam? I am actually expecting some surprises. I think Austin Theory will try to cash in his Money in the Bank contract, but he will not be able to cash in his Money in the Bank contract because I think Drew McIntyre will claymore him, and then he will claymore whoever the champion is, setting up for Clash at the Castle. Because remember, at Clash at the Castle, Drew McIntyre will take on the winner of the SummerSlam main event. So we're going to get a championship match at Clash at the Castle. And I'm expecting Drew McIntyre to possibly walk out of Clash at the Castle as a new champion because it's in his country, it's in front of a crowd. I think it's a great moment. So I think Theory will attempt to cash in his Money in the Bank contract, but it will be denied. I think he will be hit with a Claymore kick, and I think that would be the end of the SummerSlam. I think that's how SummerSlam will go off the air. Now, earlier I talked about Seth Rollins and Riddle match being canceled and possibly postponed for a later date. I think there is a good reason for that. I think that the Judgment Day, Damian Priest and Finn Balor and Mysterio no DQ match is going to go on a little bit longer than most other matches would. And I think it's going to be because the Judgment Day is going to put a beating on the Mysterios. Dominic Mysterio may turn heel here. But in the end, I think we're going to get a returning Edge. I think Edge is going to return here at SummerSlam. He's going to come back as a face, and he's going to take care of the Judgment Day and help the Mysterios out. Bayley is actually in Nashville, Tennessee for SummerSlam weekend. Will we see a returning Bayley to action? We should find out. Only time will tell whether or not Bayley returns to SummerSlam, but I think Bayley will be returning this week, if not sooner. She could possibly interfere herself in the Ronda Rousey Liv Morgan match. So we should see what surprises Triple H and Stephanie have in store for SummerSlam, considering that this is their first premium event. I think we could have a new Undisputed Universal Champion. I think Brock Lesnar could definitely walk out of SummerSlam as a new Undisputed Universal Champion. So I'm really looking forward to SummerSlam tonight, in just a few hours actually. I think it's only an hour and a half or 2 hours after this pre-show. SummerSlam airs on Peacock and WWE Network. So I'm really looking forward to SummerSlam. So those are some of the surprises that I'm expecting for this year's edition of SummerSlam, which takes place in Nashville, Tennessee. And I'm really excited to see it at Nashville. I think Nashville is a pretty cool area of the country. It's got lots of rock and roll vibes. So this year's SummerSlam is going to be really cool. And I can't wait to see what the stage looks like for this year's SummerSlam as well. All right. So right now, I'd like to go ahead and talk about the matches that I'm looking forward to this year at SummerSlam. Now, we went over the match card a little bit earlier, and there were a lot of great matches, 8 matches to be precise. There's about 4 matches that I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to go over those 4 matches that I'm most looking forward to right now. The first match that I'm most looking forward to is obviously the main event between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, a last man standing match. And it's for the Undisputed Universal Championship. And it's being billed as the final time Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar will do battle. I'm intrigued to see who gets the victory in this match because both of these superstars are part-timers, but should one win the Undisputed Universal Championship, I'm sure that they'll stick around a lot longer. And the winner of this match will be defending the titles against Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle. And I feel that Drew McIntyre in the end will become the new Undisputed Universal Champion. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the decision's going to be, what WWE goes with. But I think this is going to be a great matchup. I think it's going to have a lot of violence. It's going to be brutal. And I think because WWE SummerSlam is no longer PG-13, WWE SummerSlam is TV-14, there might be some blood in this match. So I'm looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a great match. The next match I'm looking forward to is The Miz and Logan Paul. The Miz is a great in-ring worker. He brings out the best in all of his opponents. For example, Bad Bunny last year and Damian Priest last year looked great against The Miz. I think he can do the same for Logan Paul at SummerSlam this year. This is Logan Paul's very first singles match, and I think it'll be a great showing. I think The Miz will make Logan Paul look good. The next match I'm looking forward to is Pat McAfee and Happy Corbin. I have to admit, Pat McAfee's match at WrestleMania 38 against Vince McMahon and Austin Theory was good, so I'm looking forward to this match. I want to see the story that McAfee and Corbin can tell in the ring. And last but not least, I'm definitely looking forward to the tag team match for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. I want to see Jeff Jarrett's role in this match. What role will Jeff Jarrett play in this match? Will he be an impartial referee, or will he play on the side of the heels, or will he play on the side of the baby faces? Only time will tell. Tonight, in a couple hours, we'll find out at SummerSlam what role Jeff Jarrett will play and whether or not we have new tag team champions at SummerSlam. So I think SummerSlam could be the implosion of the Bloodline. I think the Bloodline would be no more if the Usos and Roman Reigns lost their titles. I think it would be really, really sad, and they would be devastated, and they would be upset, and they would run roughshod all over the WWE, but only time will tell. All right. So it's time for my SummerSlam 2022 predictions, my favorite part of a premium event pre-show. So I'm going to go ahead and make my predictions. You could also post your predictions in the comments of today's video. So some of these predictions are going to be hard to make. I probably will get a lot of them wrong. But here are my predictions. I think Stephanie and Triple H want to go a new direction for the WWE, so we shall see. But here are my predictions. I think the Usos are going to retain the tag team championship, so I have the Usos defeating the Street Profits at SummerSlam. However, I could see Montez Ford turning heel on Dawkins at the end of the match. I think Bianca Belair will get revenge on Becky Lynch, and I think Bianca Belair will successfully retain her Raw Women's Championship against Becky Lynch. I think the Mysterios will defeat Judgment Day, but I think at the end of the match, Judgment Day will get an attack on them. They will beat them down viciously, and then we will hear Edge's babyface music on this day. Edge will come out for the rescue, and babyface Edge is back. I think Logan Paul will defeat The Miz in his very first singles match. Why? Well, because Logan Paul, he got turned on at WrestleMania. The Miz hit him with a skull-crushing finale, and The Miz got the upper hand on the last Raw before SummerSlam. So I think Logan Paul is going to get the upper hand at SummerSlam and get the victory. And I think we'll have round 2 at Clash at the Castle. I think Bobby Lashley will dominate and destroy Austin Theory to retain the United States Championship. I think Ronda Rousey will become the SmackDown Women's Champion once again. Ronda Rousey will defeat Liv Morgan. I think Pat McAfee will defeat Happy Corbin. And in the main event, I think Brock Lesnar walks out of Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee as the brand new Undisputed Universal Champion, making it at Clash at the Castle, Lesnar versus McIntyre. I think now that WWE was able to get Lesnar to come back after walking out since Vince McMahon retired, I think one of the things they did to get Lesnar back is giving him a victory tonight at SummerSlam. And I think tonight Lesnar will become the champion. And then at Clash at the Castle, Drew McIntyre will win the championship. But we shall see. Now, I think Seth Rollins will have a match tonight at SummerSlam. I think he's going to have a mystery opponent. And I think that mystery opponent is going to be someone that is returning to SummerSlam. So it could be somebody like Bray Wyatt or Johnny Gargano. Now, remember, Johnny Gargano and Triple H are very, very close, and he views Triple H as a mentor. So now that Triple H is in charge of creative booking for the main roster, that could be motive to bring Johnny Gargano to the main roster. So that is everything I've got for the SummerSlam pre-show. Don't miss SummerSlam tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Peacock in the United States of America and WWE Network elsewhere in the world. So, real briefly, I want to share my thoughts on Vince McMahon's retirement. Last Friday, Vince McMahon announced that at the age of 74 years old, it was time for him to retire, and he was stepping down as chairman of the board. So now Stephanie McMahon, Nick Khan, and Triple H are running WWE. First, I want to say congratulations to Vince McMahon on one hell of a career. Vince McMahon took WWE and professional wrestling to heights never seen before. He did things that others could not do, and he defeated his competition in WCW. He killed them, and he made WWE the #1 globally recognized professional wrestling company known all throughout the world. Love Vince McMahon or hate Vince McMahon, he is a successful millionaire, and he knows and he knew how to run a successful wrestling business. if we look at WWE, they've got a pay-per-view that's been running for 40 years, and that is WrestleMania. And then they've got others like SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble that are up there in years as well. People all over the world watch WWE, from Saudi Arabia, from United Kingdom, United States, India, everywhere. It's a globally recognized professional wrestling company. It is the largest wrestling company in the world. Nobody, and I mean no one, is going to overtake WWE. Certainly not that pissant company AEW that signs all the WWE superstars that are released. So I have nothing but praise and respect for Vince McMahon, even though he's going through a little bit of legal troubles right now with that whole scandal thing. I don't really care about that because that's his own issues. But what I will say is I respect everything he has given to the professional wrestling business, making WWE what it is today, and helping to propel the careers of legendary superstars like Hulk Hogan, The Undertaker, Andre the Giant, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, John Cena, The Rock, Stone Cold, etc. Without Vince McMahon, those superstars, and even Mick Foley, without Vince McMahon, those superstars would not be legendary superstars. And all of those superstars that I've mentioned have had legendary SummerSlam matches and SummerSlam moments. All right, that is everything I have for you on the SummerSlam 2022 pre-show. I had a blast previewing SummerSlam, and I cannot wait to watch it in in less than an hour or so. I cannot wait to watch it. SummerSlam airs live tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, on Peacock in the United States of America and WWE Network elsewhere. Don't miss Lesnar Reigns, last time ever, last man standing. Don't miss Logan Paul versus The Miz. The Street Profits versus the Usos with Jeff Jarrett as referee. SummerSlam is going to be historic and awesome this year. I think you're going to enjoy it. As a WWE fan, I definitely recommend checking out SummerSlam because it's going to be historic, and I think Triple H wants to make a good impression against the WWE fans. So don't miss SummerSlam, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Peacock and the WWE Network. And tomorrow night, I will have my SummerSlam 2022 review and recap show. Tomorrow, June 30th, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinale. I'm going to give you my complete and full SummerSlam 2022 recap. Enjoy SummerSlam, ladies and gentlemen. Go Brock Lesnar. And thank you for watching the SummerSlam 2022 pre-show. Go enjoy SummerSlam, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on Peacock. And I will see you tomorrow for the SummerSlam recap, where I will recap the entire SummerSlam pay-per-view. Good night, everybody, and enjoy the pay-per-view.
Now, WWE SummerSlam.